Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Bound Journals. Welcome back to my channel. I am a journaler, journal maker and teacher of journaling courses, and today is day 13 of the Inspiration Journal course, where I am showing you how I put together this collage art journal so you can follow along at home. So the prompt for today for our collage page is book page. So this is fun. I love books and I love journaling, so whenever I get the chance to combine the two, it's perfect. I love finding books from op shops in particular, and I really enjoy looking for books that I have some sort of personal connection to. So the book pages that I will be using today come from The Complete Adventures of Snugglepot and Cuddlepie, and I've got two versions here in front of me. I've got this beautiful large hardcover book, and it's got these lovely sort of vintage looking pages with that beautiful brown colour to the pages. And then I've got that smaller one with the blue cover, and I love the illustrations in this story. This story is a classic Aussie book by May Gibbs. She wrote the story and also illustrated the stories, so very, very talented, and based on Aussie nature, Aussie flora and fauna. So we've got the gumnut babies, Snugglepot and Cuddlepie, you've got the eucalyptus leaves and trees, you've got the kookaburra, possums, kangaroos, koalas all feature in her stories. So multiple connections to these books. In particular, that blue covered one, when I was a kid, I grew up reading, loved reading my whole entire life, and it was probably one of the very first things I ever did, aside from drawing, actually. Drawing and reading were my two first things that I ever can remember doing. And so with with that blue book, when I was a kid, I discovered one of those Snugglepot and Cuddlepie editions it was kind of the same size as that hardcover book, but with that blue cover. Some of you might know the one I'm talking about. And yeah, when I saw that book, I was like, oh yeah, I'll give this one a go, and I loved it. I just found it so wholesome, so sweet, and just so kind and gentle, and just a really lovely, enjoyable read. So yeah, I remember discovering that book, and then I would read it in my bed, and I was one of those kids who would fall asleep reading, and I don't know, there's something about being able to fall asleep reading that's just so peaceful and so calm. The older I got, when I became older, I can't fall asleep reading anymore. I always will turn off the light first. Like, if I can feel my eyes closing, but I don't ever just drop off, like nod off, while I'm reading anymore, because I don't know, I don't know why, but yeah, I always catch myself before that moment, and then often what happens is when I catch myself, I'll close the book and turn the light off, thinking, oh yeah, sleep's come, I'll go right off to sleep now. But just that motion of closing the book, putting it away, turning off the light, that wakes me up again. Anyway, I'm sure a few of you can relate to that. I've heard lots of other people share the same thing for them. But yeah, I just have these wonderful memories as a kid, you know, reading at night and falling asleep reading in bed. And so I'd wake up either sometime in the middle of the night or the next morning, and the book is still splayed open on my lap, or, you know, next to me on my bed. And just, yeah, such peaceful, happy, calm childhood memories of reading. So this page is dedicated to this book that featured heavily in my childhood, and just seeing these pages brings all of that back, all of those memories. And it's not just the memory itself in particular with this page spread, what it's documenting, it's that feeling of, yeah, just childhood bliss. and takes me right back to that time. So yeah, this page is also, I suppose, like a tribute to books in general, but I'm just using a specific book to highlight my love of books in general. And when I come to do my journaling on this page, I don't think I even mentioned Snugglepot and Cuddle Pie in any of my journaling, because I could have gone that direction. I could have journaled about what I just shared with you then, but the direction that I ended up going with was talking or journaling about my reading history and my personal history with books. I got that idea, by the way, from John Marsden, who is another Aussie writer, and he is one of my favourite writers, or he was anyway. Back when I was a teenager, he would have been my favourite author. He is the author of the Tomorrow When the War Began series. There's 7 books in it, and those are books that I read once every few years and will do so for the rest of my life, I can imagine, because those books are just so readable. Like once I'm in, and I love finding stories like that where you can just go to this world and you're totally in it, and you're with the characters and you're in their setting and you're in their world. And yeah, I grew up reading those books back when I was in high school, and I guess that's another connection that I have to those books and why I will never throw them out. I've got all 7 of them, and they have moved with me from house to house when other books have been donated or, you know, that kind of thing, given away. And I've parted with many of my books, but those ones I still have from back when I was in high school, and I love them. Anyway, what was I talking about? John Marsden, he's the author of those books, plus many others, and I just really loved his writing style. And what was I saying? Oh yes, he wrote sort of not a memoir, a book about his love of words, basically. And he talked about his personal history of books, and I was like, I love that idea. I want to write my own personal history of books. One day I still plan to do that, but I just did like a little summary of it in my collage journal, and just wrote about, you know, how I grew up reading and how I have all these fond memories of spending whole days just reading. I would, on the weekends, I would often get up in the morning, read my book. I would have lunch and dinner on a tray that I would have on my lap while I read in bed. So I was one of those people who like to read in bed, and not necessarily in bed, but just lying on top of the bed or whatever, because it's comfy. It's so comfy. You might read in a comfy chair or on the lounge. Me, it was always just my bed. And I would literally, have my lunch on a tray, so I could read in bed continuously, and then have my dinner on a tray so I could read it on my bed. Literally, from the moment I got up to the moment I went to sleep, I would read. And that's just a testament as well to the books that I was reading, I guess, and just how enjoyable they were, how engrossing they were, and how much I loved them. And I would just read book after book after book after book. Lots of fun memories reading, and even at school. So I'd read a lot at home, but also at school I have lots of fond memories of my teachers reading us books in classes. So my most vivid memory of this is grade 3, because, you know, some teachers, they're not into reading to their class, but my grade 3 teacher was, and she read to us quite a lot. She read to us a book called Worrywarts and a book called Misery Guts. Misery Guts is the first one, then it goes Worrywarts. And that is also by another Australian writer, Maurice Gleitzman, who, back when I was a kid, I used to collect books. And if I found an author that I liked, I would get all of the books by that author. So Paul Jennings, got all of his books. Maurice Gleitzman, got all of his books. Not all, but, you know, a lot of. Really enjoyed Maurice Gleitzman's books, and I got first introduced to him through my grade 3 teacher, and that was the first memory I ever have of a book that she read to us. Oh no, actually, hang on, I think she actually read to us an Enid Blyton book, either The Enchanted Wood, or The Magic Faraway Tree. I know she definitely read one of those to us, possibly both of those to us, because I remember just loving the Moonface. I'm going to forget the names. The Slippery Dip, Saucepan Man. Was there a Saucepan Man? Can't remember. I just loved Enid Blyton too. So I collected a lot of her books. The Enchanted Wood was my first foray into Enid Blyton, the world of Enid Blyton, and then I really enjoyed The Wishing Chair. Also, The Naughtiest Girl in the School. That was probably one of my very first favourite books, like where I really, really loved it. And yeah, I loved that there was The Naughtiest Girl in the School, and then there was a sequel, The Naughtiest Girl is a Monitor, and that one, the second one, was my absolute favourite. Like, I read the first one, I was like, this is my favourite book, love, love, love it, and then I read the second one, I was like, if I thought the first one was my favourite, oh my gosh, this just took it to another level. I loved it so much that the first one, I actually was quite upset at the ending. Like, I loved the character so much, in that world, being in that world. And then the ending, I was quite annoyed at the ending, so I wrote my own ending. I wrote the ending that I wanted to read. And that tells you another piece about me. As much as I was a book reader as a kid, I was always writing as well. I was writing not just journals and stuff, but short stories and creative writing, that type of thing. I loved writing non-stop. I have memories of just spending whole days on the computer writing, typing, and printing out my stories. And I still have some of them with titles like, I don't know, The Magic Unicorn, The Secret Garden, The Fantasy Land, The Magic Fantasy Land, The Beautiful Queen. Yes, that is the childhood. That was the kind of child I was. The Magic Bookshop, something like that. And then I had another story, the Lovely Dog or something, where I just made up a story where this girl got lots of dogs and then I could name all the dogs. Another story about friends at school, and that gave me an opportunity to write out my favourite names of all the people in the classroom. And so I just loved writing out names. I would literally get phone books and I would get pieces of paper and a pen and write out my favourite names that I would find in phone books. So boys' names, girls' names, and surnames. And I had lists of all of these names. I think I still have some of them, actually. And so names, I just really love the sound of certain names. And anyway, was anyone else like this? I've got a very particular personality, don't I? So yeah, I just was reading and writing all my childhood. And what was I saying? Going back to my school days, memories of my teachers reading me books. So my grade 3 teacher read us those books, and then I have memories of my grade 4 teacher. She actually, after lunch, so we'd have like an hour lunch, she would always, every single day, read to us after lunch. And when we first had her as our teacher, she said that. She said something along the lines of, you've just been out running about, and now the reason why she reads the first thing when we get back from lunch was so that we could calm down and centre ourselves before we got back into our schoolwork. And so I got lots of memories of listening to our teacher read books. And basically, for my journaling, I wrote down these books that I remember my teachers reading. So for that particular teacher, she read us Roald Dahl, so the BFG. And again, Roald Dahl was one of my favourite authors and collected his books. I loved Matilda, the BFG, The Witches, James and the Giant Peach. So many books of his I just loved. I remember in grade 2, our teacher read us Ezio Trot and The Twits. And in grade 4, I think they read us Matilda. I can't quite remember. I definitely know they read us the BFG. And I remember it being taken especially by the Jars or something. I don't know. I haven't read that book in a long time. But in grade 4, another book that they read us was, or my teacher read us, was Stig of the Dump. I was so taken with that book too that I wrote my own version. Literally, I titled it Stig of the Dump. The others, Boss of the Pool, People Might Hear You by Robin Klein. And People Might Hear You is one of those books that I will never part with either. I still have it from my childhood. It was one of those books that I just connected so strongly to. And yeah, maybe I'll talk more about that because we're getting into another video over on my Patreon for the journaling video, where I'll share more stories of books. So feel free to head on over there. The link is in the description box, and I'll see you over there in the Patreon zone.
Special
Thank you to all my beautiful patrons who supported in May. Thank you for allowing me to do this for another month. I hope you absolutely love being a patron and all the extra rewards you get over on my Patreon. You get access to extra videos and printables and personal updates, first access to my journals, and much more. So if you'd like to become a patron in June, feel free to check out the link in the description box to my Patreon.